Evan Hale's shuttle hovered above the silver forests of the uncharted planet, its engines humming softly in the thin atmosphere. The surface below shimmered like liquid metal, reflecting the dim light of the twin suns. For Evan, this was just another survey mission, part of humanity's vast exploration program, but something about this planet felt different. He couldn't shake the sense that he was not alone. The moment he set foot on the surface, a strange silence enveloped him. There were no chirping birds, no rustling leaves, only the soft hum of distant energy rippling through the air. The ground under his boots was firm, but gave a faint metallic echo with every step. He adjusted his visor and scanned the horizon. A faint glow flickered through the tall, spindly trees. Evan's hand hovered over the side of his pack, ready for any sudden threat. After years of exploring alien worlds, he had learned that appearances could be deceiving. Beauty could hide danger, and danger often came without warning. Yet, as he moved closer to the glow, he felt no fear, only a sense of being watched. Then she appeared. At first he thought the light itself had taken form. She emerged from the mist between the trees, her movements graceful and deliberate. Her skin shimmered with colors that seemed to shift depending on the angle of the sunlight. She was tall, taller than any human he had ever seen, and her eyes, large and glowing faintly, watched him intently. Evan froze for a moment, taking in her form. He had read about the Violari in old galactic records, the species that was feared across star systems for their power and unmatched combat skills. But no record could have prepared him for the sight of one in person. Who are you?" he asked cautiously, his voice steady. The alien woman tilted her head slightly as if amused. Her gaze felt heavy, yet it did not burn with hostility. Instead, there was curiosity there, an almost human quality. "Everyone is afraid of me," she said, her voice deep but melodic, carrying an echo that seemed to resonate with the ground beneath them. "But why aren't you afraid of me, human?" Evan swallowed, keeping his voice calm. "I don't fear what I don't understand. I only came here to explore, not to harm anyone." Her eyes narrowed slightly. She took a step closer, and Evan noticed the faint hum in the air around her, an energy that made the hair on his arms rise, yet still, he did not move back. "You are unusual," she said finally, her voice softer this time. "Most beings would have run or attacked by now." "I've learned to observe before reacting," Evan replied. "Fear often leads to mistakes." For a long moment, the forest seemed to hold its breath. Then she nodded once, almost imperceptibly. "I am Sira," she said. "I have lived here alone for many cycles. No one comes willingly. They only come with weapons or to destroy." Evan considered her words carefully. "I don't have weapons. I only have my tools for surveying and recording. And I don't intend to destroy anything." Sira studied him. "Words mean little," she said. "Actions. Those reveal true intent." "I hope my actions will speak for me," Evan said quietly. "I've seen enough fear and mistrust to know they only lead to more conflict. I want to understand, not fight." For the first time, Sira tilted her head, examining him with something that resembled interest. Evan took a cautious step forward. The closer he got, the more he noticed the intricate patterns along her skin. They glowed faintly, pulsing with her heartbeat. Her presence was overwhelming, yet it carried no threat, at least not toward him. "You humans are strange," she murmured. "You face dangers without fear, yet you are fragile. You fight not because you must, but because you choose to stand." Evan allowed a small smile. "And you are not fragile, yet you live alone because of fear?" Sira's expression changed, just slightly. It was subtle, but it was there, a shadow of sorrow. "Isolation is easier than betrayal," she admitted. "Most cannot see beyond what they have been told. They only know to fear my kind." Evan nodded slowly. "Then perhaps they have never met someone like me." A soft wind passed through the silver trees, carrying with it the scent of something faintly metallic, like fresh rain on steel. The forest itself seemed to lean closer, as if listening to their conversation. Sira studied him in silence for a while longer. Then, without a word, she turned and began walking deeper into the forest. Evan hesitated only for a moment before following. Every step he took was cautious but steady. The light from her skin illuminated their path, casting shimmering reflections on the strange trees around them. They walked for what felt like hours, though Evan knew it could only be minutes. The forest seemed endless, and yet not threatening. Eventually, they reached a clearing where the trees opened to reveal ancient ruins, carved into the ground in geometric patterns that glowed faintly under the twin suns. "These are the remnants of my people," Sira said, gesturing to the ruins. "Once, we protected the galaxy. Once, all species knew our name and respected our strength. But a single misunderstanding turned them against us." Evan knelt to examine the carvings. Strange symbols pulsed faintly under his touch. "What happened?" he asked. Sira's eyes darkened. "Fear. Mistrust. They believed we sought to dominate, but we only sought to protect. The galaxy turned, and so we withdrew. I am one of the last to remain here." Evan looked up at her, sensing the weight of centuries in her words. "You are not what they think," he said. "You protect, not destroy. I can see that now." Her gaze softened slightly, and for the first time she allowed herself a small smile. "Perhaps you are different. Perhaps not all humans are blind to truth." Evan stood and nodded. "I try to see things as they are, not as they are told to be. Fear and hatred blind more than anything else." They moved deeper into the ruins together, and Evan realized that Sira was not just watching him, she was testing him. Every movement, every word was part of some silent assessment. And yet, he did not flinch, did not retreat. As night fell, the sky above the silver forests turned a deep violet, stars shining like diamonds scattered across velvet. Sira created a soft energy shield around them, illuminating the ruins like a small oasis in the darkness. Evan felt a strange sense of peace, though he knew this was only the beginning. "Why do you not fear me?" Sira asked again, her voice quieter now, almost contemplative. Evan looked at her calmly. "Because fear is for those who expect the worst. I have learned to hope for the best. And I see that you are not a threat to me. You are a guardian of something greater than yourself." Her eyes widened slightly, as if surprised by the truth in his words. "A human can see truth in the heart of a Vailari," she murmured. "Perhaps there is hope yet." For the first time in many cycles, Sira felt a spark of connection, a bond that had eluded her for centuries. She had been feared, avoided, and hated. Yet here was a human who saw her for what she truly was. And it was not fear that met her, but understanding. Evan sat down beside her, placing his pack carefully on the ground. "Tomorrow I will begin my survey," he said. "But tonight, I will listen. Tell me your story. Let me understand your world." Sira studied him for a long moment, then nodded. "Very well," she said. "But know this. Knowledge is power, and power must be handled carefully. Many will seek to control or to destroy." "I am not like the others," Evan assured her. "I only seek to learn, and if I can, I will help protect your world, as best I can." A faint smile touched her lips. For the first time, she allowed herself to feel something she had long forgotten: hope. Above them, the twin suns dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of purple and gold. In the silence of the silver forest, A human and a Vailari sat together, sharing stories and understanding, two beings from different worlds connected by trust and courage. And somewhere deep within Sira, a question that had lingered for centuries began to fade. Why does no one understand me? For the first time, she realized that maybe, just maybe, there was someone who did. Morning came to the silver forests in a quiet glow. Twin suns peeked over the horizon, casting long, glimmering shadows across the strange metallic trees. Evan Hale awoke inside his small field shelter, built carefully beside the glowing ruins where he had met Syra the night before. The forest seemed alive, humming softly under the light. Yet despite the alien beauty, Evan felt a sense of calm. Today, he would learn more about Syra, about her world, and about the mysteries that had made her feared by the galaxy. He stepped outside and Syra was already waiting. She stood among the trees, her shimmering skin reflecting the sunlight, her eyes calm but watchful. She did not speak, yet her presence filled the clearing. Evan noticed the faint glow in her markings pulsing gently, a rhythm almost like breathing. "Good morning," Evan said softly. "I hope you slept well." Syra's lips curved in the smallest hint of a smile. "Sleep comes easily when no one disturbs you," she replied. "Humans, you are not accustomed to silence. You fear it, yet I see no fear in you." "I have learned to listen," Evan said, "even to silence. It often speaks louder than words." For a moment, Syra regarded him in quiet thought. Then, without a word, she turned and began walking through the forest. Evan followed. They moved in silence, only the sound of his boots on the metallic ground and the soft rustle of Syra's passage breaking the quiet. They soon arrived at a clearing where the trees grew taller and denser. Strange vines shimmered with bioluminescent light, wrapping around ancient stone pillars that rose from the ground like fingers reaching to the sky. Evan's breath caught. The place felt sacred, like it had been untouched for centuries. "These ruins are from before my time," Syra said, her voice softer than before, almost reverent. "They are the memory of my people, the Vailari. Once we protected the galaxy, we guided and defended worlds. But one mistake, one misunderstanding, and everything changed." Evan knelt beside one of the carved pillars, running his fingers over the intricate designs. They pulsed faintly, as if alive, with energy he could feel in his fingertips. "What happened?" he asked. Syra's gaze lifted to the sky. "We were called Guardians, and we were proud. We defended planets from threats that others could not face. Our abilities were unmatched, strength, speed, energy manipulation, but that power, it became feared. One world accused us of aggression when we only acted to protect. Word spread, and soon, all other worlds followed. Fear became stronger than truth." Evan listened quietly, feeling the weight in her words. "So you withdrew?" he asked. "Yes," Syra replied. "We vanished from the stars. Some went into hiding, some left for distant realms, and some, like me, stayed. I chose this planet because it is isolated, because no one here would judge me for my past." Evan looked around at the glowing forest. "It's beautiful," he said. "I can see why you stayed. And I understand now. People fear what they do not understand. But I am not like that. I want to learn, not judge." Syra regarded him, her eyes reflecting the light of the twin suns. "You humans, you have courage but not arrogance. You face danger without needing to prove yourself. That is rare." Evan smiled faintly. "It comes from necessity. Humanity has survived because we have had to adapt, to think, to understand. We survive with knowledge, not with fear or power alone." For the first time, Syra allowed herself a moment of trust. "Then I will show you," she said. "I will teach you about my people, our history, and our abilities. But you must promise. No one else can know of this. The galaxy still hunts us. If the wrong eyes see, they will come to destroy." "I promise," Evan said solemnly. "I want to help, not harm. You have nothing to fear from me." Sira nodded and began to move deeper into the ruins. Evan followed, careful not to step on the glowing vines that lined their path. They entered a circular chamber, the walls carved with elaborate patterns of stars, planets, and beings he had never seen before. The air vibrated faintly, as if holding the memory of centuries. "These carvings tell the story of the Vailari," Sira explained. "Our people were once ambassadors of peace, protectors of life across the galaxy. We intervened only when necessary, but our power was great. Some saw that power and feared it. They forgot to see the intent behind it." Evan examined the carvings closely. They were detailed beyond anything human technology could produce, filled with symbols that seemed to shift slightly under his gaze. "Your civilization must have been advanced," he said. "More than most we know of." Sira's gaze softened. "We valued knowledge, wisdom, and restraint. Strength without control is dangerous, but strength used wisely is protection. That is what made us guardians." Evan nodded thoughtfully. "And that is why the galaxy feared you. They saw power without understanding." "Yes," Sira said, her voice quiet, almost sad. "Fear is the simplest reaction. Understanding is rare." She paused and looked at him. "That is why I am surprised by you. Most humans would have fled, screamed, or tried to attack. But you see me as I am. You do not fear me." Evan looked at her calmly. "Fear is for those who expect the worst. I expect the best, and I see that you are not a threat. You are a protector." Sira studied him for a long moment. Then she gestured to a smaller chamber off to the side. "Come, I will show you more. You must see the full story to understand why my people disappeared, why we are alone." Inside the chamber, shelves of ancient crystal tablets glowed faintly. Sira picked one up and the light projected images in the air, holograms of Vailari worlds, battles, and acts of heroism. Evan watched in awe as the history of an entire species unfolded before him. "These are our victories," Sira said, "and our mistakes. We defended countless worlds from destruction, but even when we saved them, fear remained. They could not see that our strength was a shield, not a weapon." Evan reached out, touching the holographic projection. "It's incredible," he said. "You saved so many lives, and yet they turned against you?" Sira nodded. "Yes. One misunderstanding led to distrust. One lie led to war. And when the galaxy turned against us, we had no choice but to vanish." She looked at him, her expression grave. "Now I am one of the last. My people are scattered, and most are gone. I am alone, except now." Evan could see the loneliness in her eyes. He felt a pang of empathy. "You are not alone anymore," he said gently. "As long as I am here, you have someone who understands, who does not judge, who will stand by you." Sira's gaze softened further, and for a moment, she allowed herself to believe it. Perhaps there is hope," she murmured. They spent hours in the chamber, Evan learning about the Vailari culture, their rituals, and their philosophy. He discovered that Sira's species valued restraint, wisdom, and protection above all else. They were not conquerors, they were guardians. And through his eyes, Sira realized that maybe humans could be allies, not enemies. As the twin suns reached their zenith, Evan stepped outside. The forest was brighter now, the metallic leaves gleaming in the sunlight. Birds, or something like birds with silver feathers, fluttered through the trees. The forest seemed to welcome them both. "You have seen much," Sira said quietly, "and yet there is still danger. The galaxy has not forgotten my kind. Those who fear us will seek to destroy us even now." Evan nodded. "Then we must prepare. Knowledge is the first step, but action must follow. I will help you, Sira. Not because I must, but because it is right." For the first time in centuries, Sira felt a sense of partnership. Someone who was not afraid of her, someone who understood her, stood beside her. And that small spark of trust, rare and precious, began to grow. As they walked back to the clearing, Sira turned to Evan. "You are unlike anyone I have met. Perhaps this is the first step toward rebuilding what was lost. Perhaps humans and Velari together can show the galaxy that fear is not the only path." Evan smiled. "Then we begin here, together, one step at a time." The silver forest shimmered in the afternoon light, holding the promise of adventure, discovery, and the unlikely friendship of two beings from different worlds. A human and a Velari, standing side by side, ready to face whatever challenges the galaxy might bring. And for the first time in her long life, Sira believed that hope might not be impossible. The silver forests of the planet glimmered under the light of the twin suns, their metallic leaves casting long shadows across the ancient ruins. Evan Hale moved carefully alongside Sira, his eyes scanning the surroundings. Though the day was calm, there was a tension in the air, a subtle hum that made the hairs on the back of his neck stand on end. "Something is watching us," Evan said quietly, his hand hovering over his utility belt. Sira's glowing markings flickered. She paused and lifted her head, eyes narrowing. "You are perceptive, human," she said. "There is danger approaching, though they do not know we are aware of them. Yet." Evan nodded. "What kind of danger?" "They are called the Vrax Dominion," Sira explained. "A faction that fears my people. They hunt Velari wherever they find us. They believe we are threats to their control of the galaxy, and now they have found us." Evan glanced at the horizon. A faint glimmer of metallic ships appeared in orbit, small but numerous. "They're in orbit," he said. "Do they know about this planet?" Sira's lips pressed together. "They are clever, but not careful. They are patient predators waiting for the right moment to strike. If they find me, they will destroy everything in this area without hesitation." Evan took a deep breath. "Then we need to prepare." Sira nodded. "I can handle them physically, but they have technology that can overwhelm even me if I am not careful. We will need strategy, and I will need you by my side." Evan's heart quickened, not with fear, but with determination. "Then we fight together. I may not have your power, but I can help." The first sign of trouble arrived quietly. Small reconnaissance drones, sleek and black, slipped through the trees, scanning the ruins for life. Evan noticed them immediately, their sensors reflecting faint light. "There," he whispered. "Drones." Sira's energy flared around her, forming a protective aura that shimmered like liquid silver. "Do not move unnecessarily," she warned. "They will detect sudden changes." Evan nodded, crouching behind a fallen stone pillar. He pulled out a small device from his pack, a pulse disruptor designed to disable electronic systems. He calibrated it carefully, aiming at the approaching drones. Sira moved with elegant precision. With a wave of her hand, she released a pulse of energy that disrupted several drones in midair. They spiraled out of control and crashed into the metallic forest floor. But more drones arrived, faster and more numerous than before. "They are learning," Sira said, her voice calm but firm. "Adaptation is their strength, and it is also their weakness. They underestimate humans." Evan activated his device, sending a pulse that caused several more drones to fall. "They never expect coordination," he said. "You handle power, I handle precision." Sira glanced at him, her glowing eyes widening slightly. "You are remarkable. Few can stand beside me in battle without fear. I do not fear you, Evan said simply. I respect you. That makes all the difference. Together, they formed an unusual team. Evan's human ingenuity combined with Syrah's Velari power created a balance the Vrax Dominion had not anticipated. Drones fell one by one, their control systems fried by the combined efforts of energy pulses and technology. But the fight was far from over. A loud thrum echoed through the forest, a warning signal from the ships above. The Virax Dominion had sent reinforcements. Larger machines descended from orbit, armed with energy cannons and sensors that could detect the faintest vibrations. Syrah's aura flared brighter, shielding them both from the initial scan. We cannot hold them forever, she said. We must strike strategically. You and I, together, human and Velari. Evan nodded. Then let's give them a lesson they won't forget. Using the terrain to their advantage, they moved through the ruins. Evan guided Syrah, pointing out weak points in the approaching machines, calculating angles and timing for their attacks. Syrah moved with unmatched grace, her energy flowing like a river as she deflected beams, lifted debris, and struck with precision. One machine fired a concentrated beam at Evan's position. He dove behind a pillar just in time, activating a reflective shield from his pack that deflected part of the attack. Syrah appeared beside him instantly, her hand extended. A wave of energy surged, ripping the cannon from the machine and sending it spinning into the ground. They did not expect cooperation, she said, her voice calm but tinged with admiration. They see humans as weak, and they are wrong. Evan smiled slightly, adrenaline pumping through him. Strength is not always about power, it's also about courage and intelligence. The machines advanced relentlessly, but Evan and Syrah fought as one. Evan used traps, misdirection, and clever improvisation, while Syrah wielded her energy abilities with precision. Together, they managed to push the Vrax Dominion back, forcing the remaining machines to retreat temporarily. After the last drone fell, the forest was quiet once more. Evan breathed heavily, wiping sweat from his brow. Syrah stood tall, her glowing aura dimming slightly as she relaxed. You humans, you are more capable than I believed, she said. Your species has courage, resilience, and creativity. It is admirable. Evan shook his head. It is not just me. We survive because we must. We adapt, we learn, and we stand together. Fear does not guide us. It is understanding and action that matter. Syrah studied him, her eyes reflecting both surprise and a growing respect. Perhaps that is why you are not afraid of me. You see not the power, but the intent. You see the heart beneath the strength. I see someone who protects, Evan said simply. Someone who fights not for herself, but for what is right. Syrah's expression softened. Few have seen me that way. Few have ever stood beside me willingly. And yet, you do, human. That is extraordinary. They paused for a moment, catching their breath amidst the ruins. Above them, the faint glimmer of the Vrax Dominion ships lingered in orbit. Evan knew this battle was only the beginning. They would return, larger and more determined, unless warned or confronted. We need to plan, Evan said. We need to prepare before they come back. Syrah nodded. Yes, and you will need to see more, learn more, if you are to stand beside me. My abilities are powerful, but the galaxy has many dangers, and knowledge is as important as strength. Evan followed her deeper into the forest, moving past glowing vines and ancient pillars. Syrah led him to a hidden chamber, one that had been untouched by the Vrax Dominion's scanners. Inside, holographic projections filled the air, showing tactical maps of the planet, the ruins, and even distant star systems. This is my defense grid, Syrah explained. I have prepared for threats, but I cannot maintain it alone. That is why you are here. Your mind, your perspective, is different from any Velari. You see things I might overlook." Evan studied the projections carefully. "We can reinforce the grid, add traps, create misdirection. We can make it more difficult for them to attack directly." Sira nodded, impressed by his quick thinking. "Yes, and while they may have technology, their understanding of the planet's terrain is limited. We can use that to our advantage. Together, we can defend this world." As they worked, Evan realized that the battle with the Vrax Dominion was not just about survival, it was a test of trust. For Sira, trusting a human with her life and the defense of her people was no small matter. For Evan, fighting beside an alien of immense power was a challenge he embraced without fear. By nightfall, the forest was calm once more. Evan and Sira had strengthened defenses, prepared traps, and devised strategies to protect the ruins. They stood together in the clearing, looking up at the stars. The faint glimmer of the Vrax Dominion ships still lingered above, but for now the immediate threat had been held at bay. "You did well today, human," Sira said, her voice carrying quiet admiration. "You fought with courage and intelligence. Few could have faced them and survived." Evan shook his head. "I didn't do it alone. You fought alongside me, and together we made a difference." Sira's glowing markings pulsed softly, almost like a heartbeat in the calm night. "Perhaps humans and Velari together can face even the greatest threats. Perhaps there is hope for the galaxy yet." Evan smiled. "Then we keep moving forward, together. We learn, we adapt, and we protect. That is all we can do." For the first time in cycles, Sira allowed herself to feel something she had not experienced in centuries, a spark of hope. With a human by her side, someone who did not fear her and who could match her courage with intelligence, she felt stronger, not just physically, but emotionally. Above them, the stars shimmered like countless eyes watching silently. And in the quiet of the silver forest, two beings from different worlds stood united, ready to face whatever the galaxy might throw at them next. The Vrax Dominion would return. That was certain. But for now, Evan and Sira had proven something far more important. Fear did not have to rule their hearts. Together, they were a force no enemy could underestimate. The night air in the silver forest was still, but a storm of tension brewed above the planet. Evan Hale and Sira stood atop a ridge overlooking the ruins, their eyes fixed on the glimmer of the Vrax Dominion ships slowly descending from orbit. The enemy had returned, far larger and more organized than before. Their dark hulls reflected the twin suns' light, each ship bristling with weapons and scanning arrays. "They have come in force," Sira said, her voice calm yet carrying the weight of warning. "This time they will not hold back. They seek to eliminate me and anyone who stands with me." Evan's jaw tightened. "Then we stop them here, together. Humans don't back down from impossible odds, and neither will you." Sira turned to him, her eyes glowing faintly. "You do not fear, human. That is rare. Most would have fled by now." "I don't fear you," Evan said simply, "and I don't fear what is right." With that, they descended into the ruins, moving quickly to activate the defensive measures they had prepared. Evan positioned his traps, using the terrain to create choke points, decoys, and energy interference zones. Sira enhanced them with her abilities, her energy flowing through the devices, making them more powerful and unpredictable. The first wave of Vrax Dominion ground forces landed in the forest. Machines and soldiers emerged from the drop pods, advancing cautiously but aggressively. Evan signaled Sira, and she unleashed a controlled pulse of energy, throwing several of the machines off balance. The metallic trees glimmered as they bent and cracked under the energy waves. Evan fired a series of precision disruptors, targeting the Vrax machine's control units. Each pulse disabled or misdirected the enemy, allowing Sira to move in and neutralize the rest with her Vylari strength. The battle was chaotic, yet their combined coordination made it appear effortless. "They do not understand what they face," Sira said, her voice calm amidst the chaos. "They underestimate humans and Vylari alike." Evan ducked behind a fallen pillar as a massive Vrax assault machine charged forward. He activated a reflective shield, sending a concentrated energy blast back at the machine, disabling its weapon system. Sira was already there, lifting a large piece of fallen debris and throwing it with perfect accuracy to crush the machine's remaining armor. "They think strength alone can win," Evan said, panting slightly. "But courage, intelligence, and teamwork are stronger than brute force." The Vrax Dominion regrouped, sending larger attack units that glowed with destructive energy. Sira's aura expanded, deflecting beams and absorbing impacts, yet she knew they could not hold indefinitely. She glanced at Evan, who was coordinating traps and misdirection with precise timing. "You think humans are fragile," she said softly, almost to herself. "Yet you can match strength with strategy. Remarkable." Evan smiled faintly. "We survive because we adapt, and right now, we adapt together." They fought through the ruins, moving with precision and grace. Evan's understanding of tactics and Sira's raw power complemented each other perfectly. They funneled the Vrax forces into narrow corridors where traps and energy pulses caused chaos. Machines fell one after another, while the enemy soldiers struggled to advance against a force they could not predict. Sira paused for a moment, her gaze scanning the battlefield. "They are regrouping for a heavy strike. If we do not act quickly, they will overwhelm us." Evan's mind raced. "Then we draw them into the central chamber, the one with the holographic projections. I can set a trap that will disable their coordination if we lure them there." Sira nodded. "Good. Lead the way." They moved swiftly, drawing the Vrax forces toward the chamber. Evan activated his devices, creating energy nets and interference fields. Sira followed, shielding him and guiding the machines into the trap. As the Vrax forces entered the chamber, the fields activated, disorienting their sensors and scrambling their communications. Sira struck with precision, taking down the remaining machines and forcing the enemy soldiers to retreat. The chamber glowed with the residual energy of her abilities, the holographic projections flickering but intact. For a moment, the forest was quiet again, the sounds of battle replaced by the gentle hum of residual energy. Evan leaned against a pillar, catching his breath. "We did it. For now." Sira approached him, her glowing markings dimming as she relaxed slightly. "You fought well, human. Bravery, intelligence, and calm. Few could have stood beside me through this." "I did not stand beside you," Evan said, shaking his head. "We stood together." "That made all the difference." Sira studied him, her gaze softening. "Perhaps this is how the galaxy should see us, not as threats but as protectors. Not as enemies, but as allies. You have shown me that humans can see beyond fear." Evan looked at the fallen Vrax forces. "Then we keep moving forward. We prepare, we adapt, and we protect. We cannot let fear or misunderstanding dictate the galaxy's future." Sira nodded. "Yes. Together we are stronger than they realize." The battle had taken its toll, but the ruins remained intact. Evan's traps and Sira's power had ensured that the Vrax Dominion could not easily regroup for a second wave, at least for now. The forest was calm, the metallic trees glimmering under the twin suns' fading light. Sira turned to Evan. "You have not only fought, but you have understood. You see that strength without guidance can be dangerous, but strength guided by courage and wisdom is protection. You understand the heart of the Vylari." Evan smiled. And you understand that humans can be more than you expect. We are adaptable, intelligent, and we stand together when it matters most. For the first time in centuries, Sira felt a spark of hope that went beyond survival. With a human at her side who did not fear her, who matched her courage with strategy and insight, she realized that perhaps the Vailari could reclaim their place in the galaxy, not through fear, but through trust and partnership. As night fell, the silver forest shimmered under the light of distant stars. Evan and Sira stood together in the central clearing, looking up at the sky. The Vrax Dominion ships had retreated for the night, but the threat still lingered above, a reminder that vigilance was necessary. "Tomorrow," Sira said softly, "we must strengthen our defenses. They will return, larger and more prepared. But now, we rest." Evan nodded. "And we plan. Every battle teaches us something. Every fight makes us stronger. Together, we can face anything." Sira studied him, her glowing markings pulsing faintly. "You are unlike any human I have met. Your courage, your understanding. It is rare. Perhaps humans and Vailari together can show the galaxy a new way, one where fear does not rule." Evan placed a hand on her shoulder, a gesture of trust and partnership. "Then that is what we will do. One step at a time, one battle at a time. But together, always." Above them, the stars shone like countless eyes, watching silently. Below, the silver forests seemed to hum with life and possibility. Two beings from different worlds, united not by fear or power, but by understanding and courage, stood ready to face whatever the galaxy might bring. And in that moment, for the first time in centuries, Sira allowed herself to believe that hope was not impossible. With a human by her side, someone who could see beyond fear, she felt stronger, not just as a warrior, but as a being who could once again trust and protect. The galaxy would remember this night, not for the fear the Vrax Dominion tried to instill, but for the courage of two unlikely allies standing together, proving that even in the darkest moments, unity, intelligence, and heart could triumph over fear. The twin suns of the silver planet were rising, casting long beams of light across the metallic forest. The events of the past days had left scars on the ruins, on the forest, and on Evan Hale and Sira alike. Yet there was a sense of calm in the morning air, a promise that today might mark a turning point not just for them, but for the galaxy itself. Evan stepped out of his shelter, surveying the clearing. He had spent the night reviewing his plans, preparing for what might come next. The Vrax Dominion's threat still loomed, but he had a feeling that the balance was shifting. Sira appeared silently beside him, her glowing markings dimmer in the morning light, but her presence carried the weight of power and confidence. "They will return," Sira said softly, her voice calm yet firm. "They always do. But now, we are ready. And you have proven yourself. Few could have stood beside me, human. And yet here you are." "I didn't do it alone," Evan replied. "We stood together. That made all the difference." Sira studied him, her gaze both soft and intense. "Perhaps this is the first time in centuries I have felt hope." As they spoke, a distant hum filled the air. Evan squinted at the horizon. Through the metallic haze of the forest, he saw ships descending, larger and brighter than any he had seen in orbit before. Not enemy ships, but human ships, ships of the Human Alliance, responding to the distress signals Evan had sent days before. "They came," Evan whispered. "Reinforcements." Sira's eyes widened slightly, and for the first time in their time together, she allowed herself a small, genuine smile. Then perhaps the galaxy is not lost after all. The Human Alliance forces touched down carefully, their ships designed not to damage the delicate forest. Soldiers disembarked, their uniforms and weapons unfamiliar to Sira, yet she sensed immediately that they were allies. Evan quickly ran to meet their commander, explaining the situation and the threat posed by the Vrax Dominion. Sira watched quietly as humans moved through the ruins with precision, preparing defenses and coordinating with Evan's plans. She felt something she had not felt in cycles: trust. These humans did not fear her. They understood the danger, respected her abilities, and accepted her as a partner, not a threat. The Vrax Dominion, observing from orbit, realized too late that their target was no longer isolated. The arrival of the human alliance shifted the balance. Their confidence faltered, and their attack strategy became disorganized. Sira's energy flared, brighter and stronger than ever. "They will not harm this world," she declared. "Not while I stand here, and not while we stand together." Evan nodded. "Then we make them see the truth." The first wave of Vrax forces descended, unaware that their presence had been detected and anticipated. Traps, energy pulses, and coordinated strategies awaited them. Evan and Sira led the defense side by side, their teamwork seamless. Evan guided the human forces, directing them to key positions. Sira moved with precision, her energy deflecting attacks, disabling machines, and protecting both humans and the ruins. Together, they became an unstoppable force, a symbol of cooperation between human ingenuity and Vaylari power. "This is what I never imagined," Sira said, her voice filled with awe. "Humans, you can stand beside us, fight beside us, and not fear our strength. You are remarkable." "And you, Sira," Evan replied, "are more than anyone believed. Your power is immense, yes, but your heart, your sense of protection, that is what makes you truly strong." The Vrax Dominion's ships began to retreat, their attacks faltering under the combined strength of humans and Vaylari. It was a decisive moment. For the first time in centuries, the Vaylari had allies who did not fear them, and the galaxy had witnessed their true purpose: protectors, not destroyers. As the last of the Vrax forces retreated into space, Evan and Sira stood together on the ridge overlooking the forest. Below, the ruins glimmered with renewed light, untouched by the destruction that the Vrax had hoped to bring. The forest seemed alive again, its metallic leaves reflecting hope rather than fear. "You have changed the course of history," Sira said softly. "Perhaps now the galaxy can remember my people not for fear, but for what we truly are." Evan smiled. "It begins with one step, one choice, and today, that choice was made together." The Human Alliance commander approached, nodding respectfully to both of them. "We owe you both our gratitude. The Vaylari legacy will not be forgotten, and humanity will stand with you to ensure peace across the stars." Sira looked at the humans, then back at Evan. For the first time, she felt a connection that transcended species. "Perhaps we are not alone anymore," she said quietly. Evan placed a hand on her shoulder. "Never again. You have allies now. You have friends. And together, we will rebuild trust and understanding across the galaxy." That evening, as the twin suns dipped below the horizon, Evan and Sira walked among the ruins. The holographic projections from the chamber lit their path, showing the history of the Vaylari and the potential for the future. Sira paused, looking at Evan. "You have taught me something I thought impossible," she said. "You have shown me that fear does not define strength. Courage, understanding, and trust do." "And you," Evan replied, "have shown me that even the strongest can be gentle, even the feared can be protectors. Together, we are proof that hope is stronger than fear." The stars emerged one by one, twinkling above the silver forest. Above them, the galaxy seemed vast and endless, full of possibilities. But now, Evan and Sira knew that no threat, no matter how great, could stand against the unity of courage, intelligence, and heart. "This is only the beginning," Sira said, her voice firm. "We have the chance to rebuild, to restore my people's legacy, and to show the galaxy that fear is not the path to power." Evan nodded. "And we will. Together, human and Violari, one step at a time." As they stood among the ruins, a gentle wind rustled through the metallic trees. The forest shimmered in the light of the stars, reflecting a new beginning. The galaxy would remember this day, not for the fear the Vrax dominion tried to spread, but for the courage of two unlikely allies who stood together and proved that understanding and trust could change the course of history. Sira turned to Evan, her eyes reflecting the soft light of the stars. "Everyone feared me once," she said softly. "But you changed everything." Evan smiled, looking at her with quiet determination. "And together, we will change much more, not just here, but across the stars. This is only the start of a new future." With that, they walked deeper into the ruins, side by side, ready to face the challenges and discoveries that awaited them. The Violari legacy was no longer hidden in fear. It was alive, strengthened by the courage of one human who had refused to be afraid. In the vastness of the galaxy, two worlds, humanity and the Violari, stood united. A new era of cooperation, trust, and hope had begun, proving that even in the face of fear, courage, and understanding could create a future brighter than any star. And in the silver forest, under the twin suns and endless stars, Evan and Sira became symbols of a new promise. A promise that the galaxy could be protected, not by fear, but by heart, wisdom, and unity. For the first time in centuries, the Violari were no longer alone, and humanity had shown that even a single person, standing with courage and understanding, could change the fate of worlds.